Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the reorganizational meeting for our Select Board of Rutland Town. It's Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'll take nominations
I
for
nominate Mary
chairperson.
Ashcroft as chair.
I hear one nomination for Mary Ashcroft. Do I hear a second? Joey seconds. Do I hear any other nominations for chairperson? Any other nominations? Okay. Do I hear a motion that the nominations close?
So move.
All in favor of nominations closing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No oppositions. Nominations are closed. All in favor of Mary being our chairperson, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No oppositions. Mary, you're our chairperson for the year. Congratulations, and I proudly give you this meeting over.
Thank you all. Thank you for agreeing to put up with me for another year. And thanks, Kari, for running the show.
Mhm.
You're getting good at this. You could do Board of Civil Authority meetings all the way.
I could do them up until that point.
All right, we need to elect a clerk. Are there any nominations for clerk?
Joey DiNardo.
Motion's been made for Joe DiNardo as clerk. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Discussion. Anybody want to make a speech? Nope. If there are no other nominations, all in favor of Joe being clerk, please say aye.
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 Abstain.
Um,
I'll vote no, I'm not sure.
quickly announce that Joey is our chair by a 4-0-1 abstention vote. Okay. Thank you for doing that again. Next, approval of select board meetings, minutes for the meeting of February 25th, which was our last regular meeting. Motion's been made to approve
Second.
and seconded. Any discussion, additions, deletions? Get the minutes. Okay. If there's no discussion, all in favor of adopting the minutes as printed for our February 25th meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm
Aye.
abstaining.
Okay. One abstention and 4 in favor. So I'm going to sign and circulate. All right, approval of orders. You've seen and we've passed around the orders for both payroll and for other town expenses. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Motion's made. Joe, is that a second?
Sure.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? Additions, deletions, anything you want to call out in these? If not, all in favor of approving the orders, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries 5-0. Are there any board member announcements? No board member announcements. Okay. Update from the select board chair. I have a few things. Want to congratulate Sharon Russell and Joe DiNardo for retaining your seats on this august body. Thank you both very much. Thank you for all who ran. It's an important part of our democracy. And also Kathy Kapitansky, our new lister, was also elected too, so that's good. Huge thank you to all of our voters and taxpayers for approving our budgets, all of them passed, and our depreciation funds also, the increase in those also passed. So we're in good shape for the town, and we'll do our very best to make sure we take good care of the money you've entrusted us with. Circle articles are due March 15th, which is later this week.
Saturday.
Yeah. Ignore the part of the email that said if you get them in Monday, it would be okay, but please do try and get them in so we can get the circle printed. It would be appropriate, department heads, if you're writing those, which I hope you are, that you also add a thank you to voters and taxpayers for approving our budgets. Huge thank you to Kari, her staff, and to the ballot clerks for the excellently run election. Went very, very smoothly. Thank you. And no, I think that's all I have. So moving right along. Are there any questions from the floor or public comments from anyone who wishes to be heard who is not otherwise on the agenda? This is your chance. No? Okay. Anybody on the Zoom wish to be heard? Okay. Oh, because Kari's here and she made a special request and she has an ailing family member at home that she needs to go home and cook for. Kari, would you like to go first?
I'm not so sure I want to go home. Oh, boy.
Line cutter.
Check, so watch it. I'll be very quick. To piggyback off of what you were talking about the election, it went very smoothly. Yes, thank you to my staff. Things are already put away. Reports are done. Fantastic. Great job. All articles passed, and the participation could have been a little better, but 28%, we kind of,
Okay.
it's average for a town meeting, really.
You have a number?
28%.
What's it, do you know a number? What's?
Yeah, it was high 900s. Yeah.
Because I've been asked that question a lot.
Oh yeah, the reports, just so you know, the reports for both East and West are combined in one PDF, and they're available on Facebook and on our website. If you navigate to my portion of the website and scroll down, the link is there, and you can see that the number of absentees, the number of total voters on either side. And it's high 900s. I don't remember the exact number, but
Thank you.
yeah, no problem. And then very quickly, two things that are on your desk. I'll start with the first easy one, the liquor license.
Okay. We have application from Midway Oil Corporation, and these are all for Route 4 East. One is a second class liquor license, one is a tobacco license, and the other is a tobacco substitute endorsement. Looking at the chief, looks like everything is in order with them. So is there a motion to approve these licenses for Midway Oil on Route 4 East?
Move to approve.
Second.
It's made, seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 5, I was writing the date at the same time, sorry. 5-0. Okay. Okay, there you go.
Perfect. And then the last thing I had was every year I have to report to the Vermont Bond Bank about our bonds that we have with them. They're both depleted, but we still have to report status and things with them. If you remember, Center Rutland had the 2013 bond, and then this new one is the 2024 series bond for our public safety building. That money also has been used up, but I still have to report. They ask for our audit report, which I give them, and a post issuance compliance report every year, despite where you are in the process. The report, the third and last one they ask for is if your project is substantially complete. And I'm going to leave that up to the board to discuss.
Okay. Yeah, and it does say that, if we sign, and this certificate shall be evidence signed by the borrower, delivered to the trustee or dispersing agent and the bond bank, that the town of Rutland Public Safety Building has been substantially completed so as to permit efficient use and operations by the borrower, and setting forth any project costs remaining to be paid from the project fund established with the trustee dispersing agent. I'm not sure what the setting forth any project costs remaining to be paid.
That might be the balance we're retaining.
Yeah, it might be.
Say we're supposed to provide a number or.
There's nothing here. It's just, they just want our signatures. I'm hesitating because substantial completion is a legal term that could also trigger if we're not absolutely ready with the
Well,
development.
it'll initiate the conversation about the controls.
Okay, so do you want to put this in the packet for next week or two weeks hence? Because our clerk of the works hasn't signed off that everything is substantially complete. Not that everything's been done, but
Yeah,
that it's
and then
substantially complete.
the point Kari made though, that about it, once we have taken occupancy of the building, does that indicate that it's substantially completed?
It doesn't say we've taken operations. It says substantially completed so as to permit efficient use and operations by the borrower.
Which means we've moved in.
Well,
think.
it may, but there are still some things, so it may not be, I don't know. I'm kind of looking to the clerk of the works.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how this works with the final payment.
Okay.
That's outstanding with some, there are a few things, Ed's got a few things with his side, and I know Chris had a few, and those
Yeah,
need to be wrapped up, so maybe we should try to get that squared away and then
Okay.
try to deal with that next week.
and let's,
And I'll try to get some answers about the controls.
okay, and let's you and I call town council just to make sure that
Yeah.
what we can retain and what we can't and what our obligation is, okay?
Okay.
All right, so we'll stick this in the folder for next time.
Deadline on that.
It's,
No, Kari signed it already, but
I did, but it's okay. I've been in touch with the guy that is helping me with the reporting, and he's.
I mean,
totally fine.
obviously, if you find out something different
Yep.
within the next,
Sure.
that we need to do something, then
I'll just let him
figure that
know.
out too.
we could
We're
do,
doing.
we could do like a special meeting, because that would be fun. Okay,
That's
any
all I have.
questions? Oh, I do want to thank the treasurer part of you for all of the work you did getting together the numbers so Matt and I could meet with the police committee
Mhm.
and figure out how we can deal with the cruiser purchase. So thank you very much for
You're
that.
welcome.
Just to, and we should probably summarize while you're still here, as long as you are. We have money to purchase the cruiser outright, so we don't have to borrow money. We have in the depreciation fund for the police department just over $50,000. And we would be getting another installment
In May.
in May when the taxes come in. And we have $155,000 in the Cortina fund that is not spoken for. I
Correct.
think I said that right.
Yeah, you did.
Okay,
Mhm.
so we appear to have sufficient funds. And if you have any questions about those numbers, Kari's here and we should ask her before we.
So you're gonna, when Ed comes up, are we gonna talk about spending this?
Why don't,
Ed.
since Ed is next on the list, why don't we have Ed come up?
Switch places with him.
If you found the money, Ed's gonna spend it. so.
Okay.
Thank you, Kari.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's, as long as we're on the thread, let's start with the police committee meeting that we had and the discussion about the purchase of a new vehicle for our police department. I think you have the McGovern.
Yep.
revised quote on your desk. It's revised because you'll remember when we gave the preliminary approval to Deputy Washburn, he said there were some things that he needed to work out and do a revised one. So we have that. And the original quote was over $76,000. It's down to 72, 819.61. So, okay. Matt,
Yes.
Police Committee, why don't you wrap up what we did on the cruiser?
Well, I think you've heard pretty much what there is to know. You've got their quote, 72,000. We have the money in the between the depreciation and the hotel fund. The financing, well, Deputy Chief Washburn did some additional legwork on financing options and found a potential good option going forward, which was with TD, right? It was traditionally who we bank with.
Credit to Kari on that one as well, because she's the
Yeah.
one
Thank
Yeah.
you, Kari.
reached out to TD. So
So TD is willing to work with us on leasing all sorts of things, apparently, not just cruisers, but fire trucks,
highway
other
equipment.
Highway
pieces of
equipment, he mentioned too, so.
all of which would be at a much better rate than what we were hearing from the Massachusetts lender for this cruiser. So that's potentially a good option in the future, such as next year potentially, as we're trying to get caught up on our list of cruiser replacements. But for the time being, it appears that we have sufficient funds to use, and so we could save the taxpayers some money by not having to borrow. Yeah,
So do you have a plan for the Cortina money? You haven't or
That we discussed it about using the Cortina funds for the purchase of this next
yeah,
cruiser.
did you have any other plans? Is what I'm.
There's gonna be at least $80,000 left in that plan, and that's more than enough for us to, we have to start. And if, let's say, the Cortina picks up after tomorrow, we can start in patrols. We got money in our budget at this point in time to go to patrols to the end of the fiscal year, and we can go next year too.
I would move that we authorize the PD to purchase this cruiser from the Cortina funds for the sum of $72,819.61.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. That was a second, right? Did you have any inclusion in your motion about who should sign the quote on behalf of the town? Do we have to? Wait a
I
minute.
don't know.
Well, they did ask that a representative sign, and that's good enough for them to convert it into an invoice when the time comes.
So I say Mary
Department head or board chair.
or chair,
Well,
we
you
think.
gotta give a little, let them have a little fun. You get all the fun. Whatever, and I would authorize whoever needs to sign to be able to sign on behalf of the town. Whether it be Mary or.
I could do it right now.
Okay, then sign it.
Well, I
Once we
can't
see it.
until you guys vote on it.
Okay.
Okay,
And
so I will add in the chair to sign on behalf of the board.
Sure.
Did I hear that? Okay, I did hear that. Is there further discussion?
I'm a big fan of not paying interest.
I am hugely in favor of not paying interest. Okay, all in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye, that's 5-0.
all right. Having done that, now we can spend that savings. The next item you'll see in the minutes, and I think we've discussed it at committee before. I don't recall if it's come up in a meeting, but the department's got a concern about their sidearms. Hopefully they won't go off during this meeting, but apparently they have been known to
Yes.
operate at unexpected times. So
Unassisted.
unassisted operation of firearms is not something we want to have. There's been enough incidents of that with this model that the department would like to transition back to Glock. And we talked about, they've got one quote, and we talked about getting at least one other for sake of comparison. But there is somebody local who's willing to buy back what we've got and can supply us with new weapons, same ammunition, so we don't have to worry about changing that out.
So they're all the same caliber.
Yes.
So when you guys are together, you're all good.
Same
Yeah.
platform.
Which one doesn't have the safeties?
It's not a matter of safety.
Well,
None of them we have, ones we have, we don't. The safety's in your trigger finger. Say.
Right, there's no safety on the certain models of certain guns.
Correct. Well,
But,
they all have some
children.
sort of safety, but the issue is that our current handgun from SIG, nationally, there's been an uptick in them going off in holsters when no one's near the holster. People have gotten holes in their legs. One's gone off at a school that we know of, not locally, thankfully, but it's a design flaw that the company doesn't want to acknowledge. So
Why would you?
before we have an issue, we just want to move away from it.
Yeah.
We did ask that you try and get another,
I reached out to one company, they're working on it, and I'm
Okay.
waiting on a call back from a second.
yeah, because it's over the 5,000 in our policy, so.
But in any event, I mean, there's funds in the depreciation fund to cover that when we pin that down, but that'll be coming up sooner rather than later.
Don't play holes in that brand new station floor.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
no.
hopefully don't.
Or any of these vehicles.
Or somebody's leg.
Yeah.
No desk pops.
We had a discussion about state policies that apply to our police department. Which the general gist of that discussion was that we would simply follow what the state does and not try to elaborate on those policies for our at the local level. And we're going to get a binder put together for at least the police committee to have on hand for reference. Let's see. We put the CFAC request to bed for now. It seems that the organization's got some reorganizing to do before anything's going to move forward with that. So we've taken that off our agenda. And then we talked about the alarm ordinance, which I think is going to be coming up later.
For the fire department, but you folks wanted to take a look at it first. Okay,
Oh, that was the police committee.
okay. Now,
Is that a
Sure.
question on the price on the guns at 5,400 is, that's the total after the exchange?
Yes.
Thanks.
okay, and then there's your report.
Okay. Take one, pass it down. Maybe there's not enough. Extra one.
There's guys.
Out here.
We're a bit busy.
Yes. So I'm looking at our calls for service right now. The usual. Have any questions on them? Let them know.
So how are we doing at the south end?
That's where most of our calls come from right now. If you look at the other one, this, the one that Lynn puts together for us. South end, we had 69 calls for service down there. Total of 108 cases for the entire town. So we spent an average of 63% of the time south end.
So for what, January, February? So 2 months in, well, we're still,
It's, a lot of it's gonna be because the hotel's located in this, just over the town line in the city at the Quality Inn, Econo Lodge. There's a big influx of homeless people stationed in those two places, so we're gonna see some, probably not as much as Aldi's is getting right now, but.
so we're down a bit.
Yep. So I'd say that we were right when we said the state housed all the homeless people at the Cortina, caused our stats to go up, to say the least. Now that,
Sure looks it.
so if Cortina starts taking the homeless back in, probably should ask for to continue on with it.
Oh, yeah. The monthly
Yes.
payments. Oh, yeah. If they reopen the program, but I understand they have to pass an inspection.
Tomorrow. Right.
Okay.
So,
So we'll see.
yes, we will.
Okay. Any others of these you want us to take a look at? So we've had a couple of animal complaints. Don't we have a who handles animal complaints?
Usually what their constables take care of.
Okay, all right.
Sometimes it's a wild animal, somebody wants to see all the game wars, they put it off on us, but
Okay.
try to avoid the skunk issues, you know what I'm saying?
I would. Right. Any questions of our police chief or deputy? Okay, you're off easy. Any other things that you've noticed that need our attention at the public safety building?
I think we had talked about the lights, the exterior lights. I'm not sure how they're programmed. Lynn came in the other morning and all the lights were off on the exterior. And she thought they were motion, but she walked to the door and no light turned on. But
If
then,
it's, I believe I think they're on a timer, but I'm not sure.
okay, she came
And you
in,
had to change in time.
Hmm?
You had to change in time.
It could very well be.
she came in this morning and they were on, so I'm not, it could very well be just a timer issue.
Yeah.
That,
Oh,
It's
I
a
wasn't sure.
time clock, Ted. There's a time clock on
Thank
it.
you, iPhone.
Okay,
yeah, that's what I,
It
And
tripped
they had
off
to-
a couple times.
yeah.
Well, thank you.
It's not on
My
daylight
question-
savings time yet, but it is now.
okay. And anything else? We have the checklist from before.
I think we just have 2 items in the checklist, don't we? Unless something else kicked on.
Uh,
The hole in the wall and
evidence,
the water, that's it,
The water,
cooling.
yeah,
water cooling, we are gonna need some sort of sign.
That's, yeah, that's not,
we do,
we've had people,
yeah.
where do we go? They go on the wrong side. We
Pretty
need
much everyone goes
police
to the garage
back, an
base.
arrow back here, something.
Yeah,
Let the
Okay.
public know they have a hard time.
Yeah,
figuring
we
out
do
what
need better signage so people can find the main entrance.
Correct.
Because otherwise they'll also be wandering in if the doors are open to the fire
Should
equipment.
there be or maybe there is a no parking sign on the Sallyport side?
So we talked to Dave, we're gonna work on something come springtime.
Once the paving's done, they gotta do the final paving, the sign, because there's gotta be a designated handicap. There needs to be a vertical sign plus the painting on the pavement, so there's a few things. that-
Maybe something on the front of the building to say police, an arrow, ain't out.
Either that or
back or.
And we did kind of want, if it's going to attach to the building, it should be done by the contractor because they know
Yeah.
how to deal with that.
And you can put something on a 3 post and
We can either that or we
Over
put
by
it
the
where the parking is,
pole.
put, PD, police
Yeah.
station.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something.
Oh, and this is not a contractor thing, but we should request that the state put a sign down on Route 7 directing people to police and fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
In accordance with their,
could you add that too, please?
is there, I think there's one there now where it says the state police and the highway. I thought there used to be one McKinley Avenue Fire Station, but maybe not. Well.
Just, I mean, I think they just do the
Fire
blank.
truck sign, but that's all there is.
That's all there is, okay, so we're gonna
Fire
need
truck
an
area.
actual public safety building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
good.
I'd probably put anything on it if we buy it.
I would suspect you're right. Yeah. Dave usually does a good job finding signs.
Know where signs are.
You have to order them and pay for them. Yes. Okay. Okay, anything else for our police chiefs? Okay, if not, thank you very much. All
Thank you.
right. Thanks, Kari. Chris, Kari's headed home. Okay, Mike Rowe, Town Rec Director.
Good evening, all. How are you? Thank you to everyone that voted and helped me on to my retirement plan. I appreciate that. So we'll get our wheels going. Couple things, our basketball teams played in the Glodzic this week. And our 6 boys are in the semifinals on Thursday. If this airs in time, go check it out. I think they're playing at 8 o'clock at night. So no excuse to 7:30. No, and our girls played valiantly last night, but they lost in the quarterfinals. I sent out an email to the seniors after conferring with my secret sauce and meatball maker that our senior luncheon will be on the 27th. And I have confirmed with the chief that we can use Center Fire Station to do a senior potluck luncheon. We will serve pasta, meatballs,
27th.
sauce.
27th.
27th.
It's the Thursday.
Thursday.
Right.
And we'll provide bread and water. And then I've already got, well, that sounded really weird, but yeah, we're just serving the seniors bread and water.
Getting better.
I've already got quite a few responses back of people that are already,
Cookies.
yep, you're one. We've got salads coming, so that I've gotten a whole slew of responses back. So we'll have
Good.
plenty of food there to help. It would be great if you guys are available as the board to come in and meet and greet with our seniors. They're a hoot. But we will be doing that on the 27th of March down at Center Fire for a potluck, our first senior event of the year, of the new year. And then we'll discuss where we're going to go from there and take their ideas and just make it bigger and better. I have a call in eventually to Mary over at West Rutland. We've talked in the past about having the 2 groups meet too. So and then we got the city. So there's lots that we can do. So that's on the horizon. Then the last part, kind of my oversight, but if you understand how my brain works, the pool, we had new filters put in, 15, 16 years ago. And the sand and the ballasts needs to be replaced every 5 to 7 years. So we've already done it once to each tank. Probably the last one was about 6 years ago, and the one before that was 8 years ago. And I was noticing sand is getting back into the pool. So that means the ballasts are not doing their job, which means they need to be cleaned and redone. So I called Allen's in August and said, hey, when you get around to it, give me a call back. They did yesterday. And they're like, hey, we're, following up on our call. I'm like, yeah, great. I forgot all about it.
They remembered.
And they did. But
Somebody found a sticky note.
they're the ones who installed. They're the ones who have fixed it before. They are a preferred vendor for that pool. We are very lucky that they have helped us out. They are right up the road. So I said, well, call me back because it will be a depreciation and I need to know the cost. So he's like, well, we could put this mixture in that you'll never have to do this again. I said, oh, that's great. Well, how much is that? And he goes, well, that's $65 a bag and it's a glass mix. I said, great. I said, what's sand? He goes, $16 a bag. And I go, well, hopefully we'll be out of that pool and I don't need to spend triple on the new filter fabric stuff that goes inside. So we got a quote to do both because they don't know which one would be broken. And it does require, they bring A1 in, A1 sucks it all out. And then they do pull the short straw and whoever literally is the short one goes inside the tank. If you've ever been in there, the opening is a little bit bigger than your laptop to get into it.
Is that
It's
the
a
one
little bit
Sharon
bigger.
Went into?
Must be.
No, that was the holding tank. That's
okay.
wide open.
All right.
So
You're not putting me in the hole.
no, well, I could.
You're not.
You kicking and screaming is okay when you're in there, you can do the job. So they put somebody in that has to go and spread, and each tank is 1,400 pounds of sand. So they're doing that. I said, go ahead because we need to do this. And like I said, it will be out of depreciation and we'll be good to go probably for the life, hopefully, of that pool.
Total
And then
cost?
moving forward, total cost is 13 grand.
But that includes
Everything.
A1 and
Everything. Yep. And that was a quote, 12 to 13,000 for the new ballasts, all the sand, the work, and getting it back to where it's supposed to be.
So
So
committee, what's your recommend?
I don't even think we have a choice. We have to do it. We want to keep our pool up and running, so. And I think he's smart that we don't go the more expensive if we're gonna
Yeah.
eventually move that pool, so.
Can we use the filters
No,
in the new pool?
I shouldn't say that. They'll be close to 20 years old plus. You're
think
gonna go brand new for
Probably
everything
new
you do.
technology.
Right, and new technology.
That would be
Right.
for filtration.
So
system.
the type of filtration we use would be up for debate at that point, but to reuse those, who knows if it'll even be in that spot?
Yeah.
They'll be over 20 years old at that point. I would say no. So that's not to say that we couldn't sell them, but that's something we could talk about when we
Yard
get to
sale.
that point. Yard sale.
Yeah,
yeah.
we gotta have a town yard sale. I was looking at the.
We could
junk
have two, we
have.
could have two big tanks right there. People can
Stairs.
take home and do
Somebody's
whatever
got
they
a
want.
really-
Someone will find something
Somebody
silly to
have a
do with them.
really clean pool in their backyard.
Yeah, there you go. Other than that,
So, well, let's, is there a motion from the rec
okay.
committee?
Yeah, I recommend that we go along with Mike, what Mike has said.
Okay, 13,000, is that? an
well,
even
that was the
number?
ballpark. Like I said, it literally, he called me yesterday and then I said, I need a price. And he said around 12, 13,000.
Okay,
And I said, well, let's get everything ordered because Lord knows how things are how long they're gonna take and it can be done before we even open. So
and is there a second? To come from the rec depreciation?
Yeah.
Right.
Discussion? Nope. Okay, all in
Anybody
favor of the
want to use
motion,
sand?
please say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
you need any used sand?
Anyone
Don't
opposed?
that bad.
That's really
Um,
fun. Too.
So motion carries 5-0.
Other than that, Dave just whispered in my ear that he made me very happy today. That's really awkward the way that came out, but he's
Sure is.
he's gonna have all the mowers tuned up and ready to go in the next couple of days, so we can hit the ground running. And baseball
Says we,
signups.
nobody enjoys mowing the lawn more than a certain person in
Well,
this room.
that's good.
What is wrong with do you like mowing the lawn?
I
No,
kind of-
you mow for a living, so you,
Mowing my lawn is the last thing I want to do.
Yeah,
See, I enjoy it.
I don't know.
there's
Steve's
something
glad
about
I
it.
enjoy it.
There's something about it. It's just very relaxing and very.
Yep.
Yeah.
Put the headsets on and
Yeah, just nobody bothers you. If they do, you kind of oops, I
It
didn't
would be
turn.
more fun if I were getting paid to do it. So
So yeah, baseball signups are ongoing. They can start now. Our season will start, depending on the weather, the first week of April. That's when we usually traditionally start. That's when we traditionally start.
Gonna shovel the base
If it's ready
paths.
to go, yep, and probably start up at Northwood because we just did that reconstruction down there. So I want to give it a little chance to, we just redid the infield and planted the sod. So I want to give it a little bit of time to, catch and go from there. So, but other than that, spring is here. So we're starting to move a little quicker. So
Must be daylight savings
I
time.
like optimistic
I
people.
know, isn't he? Yeah.
I can't, today I have my shorts on today, actually.
Oh, my God.
you wear
It
your
was
shorts
65
year round.
degrees. No, usually St. Patrick's Day is the day that I start, but it was so warm today. I put them on.
Any other questions for our rec director? If not, thank you very much. Have
Awesome,
a
thank
good
you.
evening. Dave Sears, our town road commissioner, just a reminder, we ask that you come in with good news this meeting. But tell us whatever it is anyway.
Oh, here's a list.
Okay.
All right. I'll try to do something nice. At the last meeting, I was ready to launch the class 2 paving grant and the structures grant. Those were submitted and received by the state.
Okay, good.
That's all I got. It's all downhill from there.
Very good. Thank you.
We only had one snow event since the last select board meeting. Contractors are at 46 calls right now. Right at just about $75,000 over in salt. And then it gets worse.
Do we have enough salt? Oh, well, who knows? But we think we have enough salt to go the rest of the season.
We have enough salt to do, depends on what the next thing is. If we get some of the stuff like we've been getting, the dustings and that goofy stuff, we got enough to do probably 2 or 3 of those events. If we get a big dump like we did last year, the last week of March, we probably got enough to do 1 of those.
Okay.
Um,
What's our backup?
I don't have one. I ordered 200 tons of salt 2 weeks ago. I've gotten 1 load. So-
It's just sun come out and melt it.
I mean, really the bottom line, like if this isn't going to Ace to get salt, like I ordered it over 2 weeks ago and I've gotten one load. It's just not available. So, you know, I got my fingers crossed, and if we don't get it and we don't need it, we're good. But if we get whacked and I can't get it, I mean, I got to have something in the building to work with.
Do we have sand?
We do.
Okay. So we have enough if we had to, we could spread sand.
We could
so-
do sand, but it's outside, it's wet.
Yeah.
Getting it to go through the spreaders is gonna be
Mixed it
a
50-50 or
bear.
something. Would that work? Did you try to mix in or something just to extend the salt?
I haven't because it just makes a mess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's happened in the past. We've mixed like 50-50 sand salt, but the asphalt temperatures are coming up.
That's what I was
now.
just gonna say.
You can turn the application rate way down. Just
That's what we
barely.
did this last one. We went out, we turned down to like 200 pounds per lane mile and just went out and actually we just did like our pass in and then salted on the way out.
Okay, good.
So
Yep.
Yeah,
we're doing what we can.
it's
but-
gonna be warm during the days. It'll
So
clear
the,
quick.
Sun is coming, it's that trying to get the motoring public to understand that it is warm, they're not going to be clear instantly.
right.
Right.
And they're not even clear instantly when you got all kinds of it.
The long range forecast I looked at today, and I can't tell you what it's gonna do tomorrow, but I could look out till Thursday, next Thursday. And we've got a couple nights that are below freezing to like 29, 30 degrees. Just a couple nights, and the rest of them are in the mid 30s to 40. We got some 40s and 50s during the day temperatures. So like Kurt said, the asphalt, the frost is starting to come out already.
Yeah, I felt
The
it.
frosties were horrible
Yes.
this year and they're starting to come out. So
We had winter. We
had a winter,
we had
Yeah.
Frost, we had cold weather.
Yeah.
And we just haven't had this in the last 3 or 4 years.
Right.
And
So-
everybody's kind of forgot what winter was like.
Yep. Vehicle maintenance, we're about $16,000 over in vehicle maintenance right now. We just had our teeth kicked in vehicle wise this year.
Do we have all of our trucks back and running?
We do
Okay.
sort of. We have them. We have them.
Okay,
We have ones down. The last big event we had, we were down to 2 trucks. And the Kenworth blew the gearbox off the bed chain. So that's ordered. But the other ones are working. So the Western Star, that had to go to Westminster and vacation there for about a week because the thermostat and the water pump went, and we milked that thing to the bitter end to the point where it would overheat and it would shut down and while you're driving. So he was on his way to Westminster and it shut down about 15 times on him. I mean, it was, we got every bit out of it. It didn't owe us a thing. And then when they were putting it all back together, they found that the right side spring shackle was broken. And when it broke the ear off it cracked the ear on the spring itself. So we ended up with a new rack of springs there. So that was a $7,000 bill. And at the same time, the F-550 went to Viking because the PTO died in that, the last big storm. So we put a PTO, and I haven't got the bill for that one yet, but that one, I'm gonna guess they probably didn't give it to us.
To hold on to it till July.
What's that?
Tell them to hold on to it till July.
Yeah. So because of our budgetary disaster, I'm trying to find things to do that don't cost a lot of money. So I want to move the liquid tanks out of the salt shed. And so Bill gave me a contact for Act 250, and I reached out to Kim and told her what I want to do and send her some drawings and everything. So I want to build a roof off of the north side of the salt shed and put the tanks and all of that stuff outside. And she said it doesn't constitute anything that's a drastic change to anything we're doing there. So go forth and prosper. So we've actually started removing some of the sand from the side of the building so we can start building a little roof project just to keep us from breaking anything else.
And so you've overspent those lines in the budget. So you're gonna tap the depreciation fund? What's your plan for that?
That's a committee decision,
All right,
but that's,
all right. That's what we're looking
Have
at.
we exhausted,
It's a carryover thing.
was there any carryover? I mean, have we
Uh,
exhausted what we were kind of carrying over? Or,
no, I believe there was close to $300,000 in
Okay.
carryover.
so
Alright.
we can use that and not tap into anything else?
Right, yeah, yeah, no, we're totally covered in the
Yeah, just-
carryover. It's
Just not in particular lines.
right,
Okay, yeah.
We're not broke quite yet.
no,
Okay,
This is why Hank, despite the auditor's thoughts that we should keep that in check or down, this is why that budget should be left the way it is. With winters, I mean, how do you know? So, if we could get the money to put up a larger salt shed, would we benefit from that so that you could store, what you wanted to do? Would we have benefited if we could have bought the salt that you need for winter in advance?
yeah, because it would have been available.
Right.
I mean, that's really where we are right now. It's just not available. The one load that we did get, we've been buying white salt. It wasn't white. It was like a cream color. I don't
Yeah,
have
it looks
no,
like, it looks like the desks almost.
yeah,
Yeah.
I have no idea where it came from. It was, I mean, it's salt, but it's not, it didn't come out of the ground in Ohio or Pennsylvania or wherever Cargill is. I don't know where it came from.
Just thinking that as we tried to get a grant for that, if that would be like a positive point from our perspective, that if we could get this grant and put this new building up.
I looked into the grant thing. We can talk about this at a committee meeting, but basically the only grants out there for salt sheds are a federal grant. And the parameters that wrap around JP sidewalk would wrap around a salt shed.
So it's not even worth it.
It's not worth it.
yeah.
You gotta go through the EPA, that entire process. You gotta have a project manager. The entire JP sidewalk gets transferred to a salt shed, which is a over money, overly expensive, 6-7 year project for something that you could do in
Our match will cost as much as us just building a salt
Yeah.
shed.
Right, exactly.
So
No.
what about, I mean, this is something that came up when the select boards of the county got together. What about a joint salt shed with somebody? Or does somebody have a fairly new salt shed that we could share? Because they have too much open space in it.
Mendon has a fairly new building. I'm not sure how big it is and how much they utilize it.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
They fill it full.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
That's swimming pool, because they put sand and salt in it.
right. So just for future discussions, this would probably be, I'm almost positive stuff is gonna come from the state soon about, they're looking at cutting back on salt usage by municipalities.
Yep.
And they're going to, I believe, from what I've seen, read and heard, they're going to make us report to them our usage. So, and one of the big things that they don't want is us loading outside. So you got to have a building big enough to be able to load inside so that if you spill something over the side, it doesn't get washed away and go into the streams and all of that stuff. So, this is in the future.
What
Soon.
would it take to kind of come up with a size, or did you kind of come up with a size? Because the current building is 40 by 40. I went up and measured it one day, and it's,
Yep.
I think those are 10 or 12 foot, 1 foot thick concrete poured in place walls.
They're all there.
I don't know, all the new salt sheds are steel frame fiber buildings.
Right. Yep.
Either on waste blocks or poured walls.
Yep.
Would it be worth our time to kind of just start looking at a ballpark figure and see what we would need to?
I have looked at a building, 50 by 100. That's about 68 grand for the building.
Yeah.
Then you got to pay to get it put together. And then, your blocks and your
I'm
base
wondering
and
if-
everything. I haven't gotten deep into the rabbit hole on it, but
You could call Pittsford. They just put up a shed a year or two ago. That's big,
Is it?
probably bigger than what we need, but they put one up. Mendon's isn't that old. They might have a ballpark price that we can work off of.
What does West Rutland have?
They have a Quonset hut type thing too. That's not too old.
I'm just curious whether the blocks are cheaper than, you know, cause you gotta be probably what, 9, 10 feet high,
Probably, yeah.
you know,
I hate,
versus pouring them.
I hate the blocks.
I'd prefer to see a poured wall with a building sitting on it, but I think it's more durable.
It,
Yeah.
it is in the long run. Blocks are obviously cheaper than pouring, you know, I don't even know what.
And I don't know how they
what's
do that,
concrete,
do they?
$175 a yard now or some crazy
Yeah.
thing.
But
You know, and you can buy a block
blocks
for-
aren't getting cheap either.
So somebody
but-
had a problem with
30.
their new salt shed. Was it Brent?
Is that?
Brandon, did they have a difficulty with their salt shed? Somebody did.
Can't remember.
Mm.
There's a lot of municipalities with salt sheds that are pretty close to waterways.
Yeah,
and
no, it
that's-
was more like a cloth covered roof or something.
Oh, could
Yeah,
be.
that's pretty much what everybody's going with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't wonder if it would just be, I don't know, we'd have to do some figuring what a
Every-
contractor would cost to put a 50 by 100 concrete wall,
Yep.
whatever you thought for height. I just give us some, I'm figuring the concrete's gonna be probably twice what the building is,
Oh, yeah.
or twice to 3 times what the building is. So if the building's 70 grand, the concrete's gonna be between 150 and 200,000 just for the concrete.
Hmm.
A lot of them pour concrete walls and then pave the floor.
Pave the floor,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
Then you gotta get electricity in there and a door and, you know,
Where would you put it?
my thought would be, between the shop now and the cold storage building. Bring everything right together and that one would be our little compound.
and then so that there is a stormwater runoff for the building. I wonder if we'd have to build a second one or if we could use the same one. I'd have to look into that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
They're kind of close together, so.
All right, so, well, that,
Well, it just would just help us with our
Something
supply
gets-
thing. I mean,
gets
it's not gonna
them
help us with spending more money
No.
and the usage, but you know, if you knew
Would
you were
help
gonna
with
need X
supply,
number of
right.
tons, it would nice to have them delivered during the summer, tucked inside.
That's kind of why I want to move this stuff outside, honestly, is with that stuff in there, I could probably put another couple hundred in there. And I can get just over 600 in there the way it's set up now. So I could put 800 in there. I wouldn't do the season, but it'd get me pretty close.
I mean, it's only in the past 15 years, we've only been short on salt, 2 or 3 of them.
Right.
It's a pretty rare occasion.
The ability to load inside would be good.
And we haven't ran out of salt, which is good.
No.
Yeah.
6 more weeks.
So I'm gonna tell you that just before the next to last storm, I was on my way back to shovel the corners out. And I was getting ready to call Hubbard and say, bring your trucks up and dump them because we're gonna have to share the wealth here.
Yeah.
And I was almost to the park and the Barrett truck was coming out of the gate. I'm like, I'm living right. I don't know what I did, but I'm living right.
The feet of snow in the south didn't help us.
No.
'Cause that's where the salt all went.
That's where it all went.
Yeah.
hey, anything else for, we gotta stop him now before he spends more money, so.
I'm out of paper.
Anything else for our road commissioner? Okay, thank you, and
Right.
thanks to the
Thank you.
guys who are out there. It's been a rough winter,
Got it.
yeah. All right, John Paul Faignant, no,
No Barbara?
no Barbara. Larry wants to speak to us, no?
I'll just interject for Larry because I thought he was coming, but he's probably mentioned to everybody he saw at the transfer station. He's just looking at competitors and the pricing on bags, and there's a variety out there, but it sounds like a lot of folks are going up to $4. So he's going to keep an eye on expenses, of course, and see where things are. But ultimately, it's up to the board on what percentage of the overall cost we want to put on the general taxpayer versus the user fee. So just keeping an eye on it.
Okay. Yeah. All right, Marcia Chaffee. Hi, Marcia, good evening. You were unmuted. You just muted yourself. You need to unmute again.
Sorry, my mouse is jumping all over the place.
There you
No,
go.
I just wanted to add my personal congratulations to Sharon, Joey, and my gal Kathy, and to Kari for another well-run town meeting. So, well, now that town meeting is over with, PVNR and NIMRIC are beginning their classes to introduce new listers into what's going to be happening throughout the year. We've already started taking courses towards what the legislature wants us to do for our level 1 certifications. We took sales verification for 2 hours. We've done current use training last week for 8 hours. This week we are doing lister training for 4 days, 2 days this week and 2 days next week. So this really puts a dent in trying to get everything done now during the, for the April 1st deadline. But it's got to be done because of the, Act 60 and the mandate for certification of listers. We also are going to be having land schedules probably coming up in July or August. That's also going to be 2 full days for the intermediate and then 2 full days for the advanced. Also tagging along with that is going to be data collection, same thing, 2 days for the starters and 2 days for advanced data collection. Oh, let's see what else is going on here. I have not been able to get the RFP out. I'm putting all my efforts into getting it out on Wednesday after tomorrow's classes. Everything's ready to go. It's just a matter of printing up labels, stuffing the envelopes and so forth. I didn't know whether you were familiar at all with the House Committee on Ways and Means, the subject of education property tax valuation, grand list property classifications. We had a Ways and Means Committee meeting that we listened to last week on YouTube. And I think the first statement says it all. Statement of purpose of bill as introduced. The bill proposes to create a standard system to clarify properties for property taxation. Each classification type is to be taxed as a separate rate. What a nightmare.
Huh. We did that like 30 years ago as a town and we got sued for doing that.
Well, guess what?
Okie doke then.
It's reared its ugly head once again. Thursday, the House Ways and Means is meeting again to discuss this, and also to discuss further the assessment and appraisals for Act 68. So I won't be listening to it live, but I will be on YouTube, when I get home later on to listen to what is happening. But even the people in the Ways and Means, and there are 3 listers in the Ways and Means Committee that are extremely upset about the way the legislature is taking this. And they're trying to push it through. They want everything done in this session.
The crossover is the end of this week.
I know,
So,
Mary.
Except for money bills, and they just don't have the time.
Yeah, it's interesting as to see what's going to be done. I can't see how this is going to be done. I mean, they want us to track apartments based on leases, you know, 11 months or less, subcategories of apartments, whether they're 1 week apartments or months or years. It's insane. It really is. I have no idea how this is going to be feasible.
Yeah.
But
Well, thanks for staying on top of it, Marcia.
yeah, well, it's frightening to me as it is to a lot of other people. And even today, when we had our first class in Lister, it was a basic review for a lot of us seasoned quote unquote listers. But Kathy was very happy to sit in on it, and it made things so much clearer for her just taking this review over again. And as we go along, it'll be, you know, a little bit more advanced. But other than that, if anybody has any questions for me, be happy to answer.
Any questions for our town's head lister? No. If
Okay,
not, thank you,
thank you.
Marcia.
Yeah, I'll keep
Appreciate
you
it.
guys informed.
Well, you have been, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Alrighty, you're welcome.
Chris Clark, Town Fire Chief. Good evening.
Good evening. How is everyone?
We're good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Okay.
Not much to talk about tonight. The building is, we're all moved in. We're getting everything situated. The sprinkler pump is in the hole. It's not piped yet.
Okay.
As far as what the lights outside, it's on a time clock. I was told it has nothing to do with daylight savings time, but the breaker's tripped a couple times. That's why the lights have been off. But Chris knows about it, who works for the JJ. So.
All right. So that gets added to our list, right?
Yeah.
The refrigerator we got there.
Oh, okay. Chief Dumas says their refrigerator tripped a breaker too.
Yeah, so has the dishwasher, even though it's never been used. And the plugs that the trucks are plugged into. A couple of those keep tripping. So.
Well, that's okay. There's an electrical something going on. So yeah.
Just that 600 amp service won't fly 20 amps of electricity. Oh my goodness, the generator will be next.
Okay, Bill's gonna add that to our list. Yep. And Joey's here to hear about it. So yes, thank you for bringing those things
you
up.
can add it. They told me it's I don't know if they got arc fault breakers or GFI breakers in there, but they're aware. They're gonna look at it and take care of it. So.
Okay.
Try not to burn the place down.
Yeah, really.
No.
Sprinkler system is working though, just in case.
Sort of.
Temporary.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Not off the breaker trips.
For the paving in center Rutland, whatever Howard has to put in is not going to be in the fire station parking lot. So we don't have to worry about anything for the new water system.
Good.
We can go ahead and Dave can do whatever he has to do to. So.
Okay, good.
That's all I really got, unless you got something to ask me.
Any questions or comments for our town fire chief? Nope, I think that's it. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, is Mike Delahanty on? Is Joe DiNardo's here, Public Safety Building Clerk, Clerk of the Works.
I think we've talked about everything, pretty much the checklist that we need to go through. I will try to get a hold of, well, I think I can start with either Vic Shappy and then see where we are with this. And then we got to come up with a schedule as to the list Ed's worked up and the fire department's worked up to. And get that list together to them. Probably try to get this wrapped up
with our architect. I mean, he's supposed
yeah,
to
I get it. We'll have to get a hold of Ed and try to get all of this stuff. Hopefully by the end of the month, we can get all these little glitches. I think we've been in there by the end of the month, it'll be 2 months. We've occupied the building, so
Okay,
I think, obviously this electrical thing is something new, but the electrician sounds to be on top of it.
okay.
I think the biggest thing that's out there is still the controls for the, fire pump to run off the generator.
We're still waiting on those?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything back. The last time I talked with Vic Chappie about it, they were supposed to be trying to figure this out, so. At some point I've got to try to see, because I believe VMS has kept this building, but they were sold to Naylor and Breen, so I'm not sure who actually is going to be. I think it's still VMS till all of this dust settles.
Yes,
I'll try to find that out.
that's a question too. And I'll check with Kevin Brown and see if there's a time when we can just go through what we need to do and what our legal obligations are. Okay. Anything else for Joe DiNardo, Public Safety Building Clerk?
I got something real quick. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
This is Dave. I think that the problem with the electrical thing, they probably have those low voltage breakers in there, which trip when the voltage goes low. So when something kicks on and it draws like that initial surge, it trips the breaker. I've got a couple of them in my house and they are in enormous pain. So it's probably just a matter of changing those breakers out and getting rid of those low voltage things. It's probably a simple
You would
fix.
think, you'd think in a building with a 600 amp service, there'd never be low voltage, Dave.
Yeah, but if they're on a 20 amp breaker and a refrigerator kicks on, it draws a lot of juice real fast and it drops. They're very, very touchy. They're very sensitive. And my house is solar. Like I don't even have to, and I have that problem. I have to do things in a certain way to keep the breakers from tripping.
Okay.
It's
right.
It's
We'll
probably
make a
just a
note of
matter of
that.
changing a breaker out.
Okay. Good bit of information. Thanks, Dave. Okay, Bill Sweet, Town Administrator.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, we have a few things to go through still.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll go through the things in the packet that we have. The first item is the Vermont Municipal Clerk fee schedule. So we talked about the public records request policy and adding in any charges specifically for the police department. This is the entire fee schedule for that comes from the Vermont Secretary of State.
Does it cover the things that the police department would be charging for?
So it does. So there's a public document or record certified copy. I think that's probably as close as it comes. I didn't see one that was like police specifically, but that's $10 a page. So this didn't really, where on the page this came from, didn't really talk about like towns modifying it or anything like that. But I imagine we could add our own.
We have had a standard $42 for a police accident report.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would not be difficult to add to the list to
Yeah. And maybe that's what
have there.
we should do. Are there other charges? And so I guess
They require pictures. We were going to for a disc or whatever. Probably not a picture.
Huh.
I didn't look for that. Let's see. No, but in the public records request policy, it does talk about manner to which records are provided. So that could be specified in there that we either provide it on paper or for, we could, there is some leeway that we could set that ourselves if we wanted to. So,
is there an other?
I didn't
Probably
know.
not.
The last page has like the kind of the generic ones, more of like it's all alphabetical order, but it's I didn't see anything of like generic or,
Public document records certified copy, $10 a page.
yeah, that's the most
That's
generic
the
one.
most generic
Yeah.
one. Oh, they're working on revisions to the Uniform Commercial Code, by the way, Matt. Yeah,
I will never look at it.
I used to once in a while, but. So where did we leave this? Do we have something in place?
No,
We've got state statute.
there were some decisions that needed to be made in that policy that I'd highlighted.
Did we hang on to them? Or someone? Yeah.
I did not include another copy of the policy in the packet tonight.
Oh, on my desk.
You have it on your desk? Good for you.
Not that I got the,
All right.
not here.
You don't have it?
No, my desk at home.
Oh,
Took it
yeah,
home to
that's
read
what
it.
mine is too.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So we're back to how, does anybody have any burning desire to do it tonight? Since we haven't gone over it in a bit.
I mean, I'm all for adopting this fee schedule, but we need to be able to add whoever we need to add.
We
for the
can
police
create
department.
Police department.
a Rutland town fee schedule based upon the Vermont Municipal one. and
Yeah, well, I mean,
add-
the
yeah.
first part, the Rutland Town fee schedule will be
Yes,
all of the fees
Plus.
at the Vermont Municipal Clerk fee schedule, which are not inconsistent with the following, and one would be the police accident report, $42 or whatever. I think you were okay with that number, right, Chief? I think Lynn was, yeah, okay.
So essentially, we just gotta get the fees from the police department and then
yes.
Put them together.
draft up our.
Cause I,
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, let's do that. And let's put this on the public records for 2 weeks hence.
Sure.
I think they,
Then we just need some lawyery type words.
No, we ran
Lawyer-
out of those on the personnel. policy.
Lawyery type words, and then we'll be good to go.
Okay.
Chris would still, I think the fire department still gets requests for fire reports, right? Chris, do you?
I'm not sure.
I don't think he heard you.
It's up there.
Yeah.
Cause I know,
Probably eating dinner.
Yes, we do.
okay,
Okay.
and do you charge for those?
No, I have never charged for those.
Okay, cause.
I don't
according to
send a
this-
lot of them.
Yeah, cause I know in a lot of times insurance companies, I mean, technically the fire department could charge for the copies of the fire reports if they wanted to.
Yeah,
Same, it would be the same as charging for whatever, the police has to get out there, so.
so
This is
this
something
is
to think
public
about.
records.
It could become a police or fire department record request,
Yeah.
report request.
And you don't have to charge for all of this, but it gives the town the option to.
All right, public records policy with fee schedules from municipal clerks and town.
And lawyery word.
That won't fit on my little note here.
Yeah,
Usually you don't ask us
Definitely.
to do that. Chris.
definitely more words makes it better.
Makes it more official. If you can't understand it, it's more official.
That's right.
So cynical.
The other one, the next thing is the balanced budget policy, which we had made some
Okay,
changes to.
Yep.
And this is the draft based upon those changes.
okay, so this is item number 1 in your packet. Are you ready to adopt this? Do you want, or at least talk about it?
I thought we were not going to have the language about line items,
Oh. Which is that in?
top of the second page.
Okay. Oh, right. Right.
Yeah, that's the one we don't want.
So that would be
I'm not in favor
the
of
first
that.
three sentence. And the first three sentence anyway, because they all relate to transferring between budget line items.
This would just make somebody's life.
Yeah,
miserable.
and at the close of the fiscal year, the treasurer will present a budget closing plan. Oh, no, so that one goes out. So this whole thing goes out, right?
Yeah, I think you can take that line item. transfer.
Okay. So is that the pleasure of is there, how about a motion to adopt excluding the line item transfer section, which will be deleted in its entirety?
So move.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Discussion. Anything else?
Well, I don't know. I think this was something Joe brought up last time. I'm just trying to remember if you had some substitute language that you were suggesting for that,
For what?
for this. Well, I mean, the issue was we overspend, where our practice has been, we want to keep the number on the line
Right.
for budgetary tracking purposes, but I was trying to remember if there was some other language you wanted in there instead of this. Or were you fine with just taking it out
We
entirely?
take the whole thing out. I mean, the clerk will still be reporting to us.
Right. And we
Each-
actually,
yeah.
it says that what does it say? That fiscal year will present a budget closing plan to the select board, which I'm not sure what that is, but
Yeah,
Can we just give you a new copy for next time that takes that whole section out?
we could, if
We
we
could
agree,
approve it
we could
without that.
approve it and sign it tonight.
Right.
And then you could, chop that out and move the signatures up or something.
I could, yes.
Okay. If you guys are okay with that.
Yeah.
because I think our budget closing plan is what we adopted with the capital improvement fund. I mean,
Yeah.
how budgets are closed out.
That's right.
That's
right. And then usually there's a Kurt type amendment toward the end.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
if we
Maybe.
need,
So, yeah,
if we need to.
Depends on the year.
This might not be one of those years, but
okay. Motion to adopt. Did somebody just make it? One and
I second it.
seconded. Okay,
We're in
motion's
the
made and
discussion
seconded.
phase,
Thank you, guys.
and
I
we
guess
beat
I'm
the heck out of
tired.
this again.
If there's nothing more, all in favor of adopting the balanced budget policy minus the line item transfer section, please say aye.
Aye,
Aye.
perfect.
So 5-0, and I'm gonna circulate this. Started over there before. Okay,
Thank you. So the next thing that came up is the alarm ordinance, which we're gonna hold off on until the police get to look over it, make sure that they don't want to add or delete anything that may or may not apply to them. So the copy in here is the copy I gave you is strictly for references fire. I deleted all the other stuff. So we'll make sure they have whatever they need in there. So you can use that certainly for any comments. And we can keep working on that down the road.
so what our plan is to have a combined ordinance.
Yes, so
Okay.
it would become the alarm system ordinance rather
Okay.
than department specific because it would apply to both.
I think the gist from our meeting though was that they weren't going to want to have residential alarms registered.
Yeah,
Fee for that. but-
Well, so we'll hammer out just some of the details and make sure we're good and it's easy enough to,
Any, what I would say intruder alarms that ring in, they would ring in currently to the state police, right?
Mhm.
And then they would call our PD or depending on the time of day,
yes.
because those are monitored by the state police, I believe.
Right, the state police have their own rules for registering
Right,
alarms.
if you have like 2 or 3 too many false alarms, you
Well,
go away.
depending on what it is, but if it's unregistered, they don't respond
Right.
in some cases. but that's a different topic. That's a different topic. The next one is the private fire hydrant ordinance. This came up at the fire committee meeting a couple weeks ago. So it includes all of the changes for language and updates. So this just shows all of the proposed changes in it.
Okay, has the
The fire chief has seen it, yes.
fire chief, what about the fire committee?
Yes.
When did we do it?
We met in there.
Okay,
You were there.
Yeah.
I was there. See,
Yep.
if you guys want to,
doing all
rethink
this
that
2 weeks ago,
earlier
right?
vote.
Yeah, we looked at 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
This is the draft of everything, and I did include a copy of the inspection form also.
Okay,
Just so you see what it looks like. But we got all but one done in time this year. Or
that
for
was
24.
good. So, I mean, it's an effective ordinance.
It worked,
Yeah,
yes.
good, okay. All right.
There was one department, there's one business that didn't, and they ended up paying the fine and affecting our hydrant, so.
Okay,
So the history on this is that, we responded to a fire in a hydrant on a
oh, yeah.
wouldn't open. And then there was some pushback that my guys didn't know how to open hydrants.
Yep.
And that kind of, so my way of handling that was asking the town to adopt this ordinance.
Okay. Do we have one currently in effect or is
There
it?
should be.
This is what,
Yeah.
yes, there is one in effect. There's not a lot of
Some
changes.
updates to it and some
Okay.
better language.
Yep, we updated some of the language, added a provision to have all the owners install reflective flags on them. So that way they can be found
Okay,
in snow. But not a lot of changes, not a lot of difference. It's just the formatting and just updating some of the language, so.
okay. Is there a motion on the private fire hydrant ordinance revisions? The new draft.
Move to accept.
Motion's made
Second.
and seconded. Any further discussion?
There a line in here about shoveling hydrants?
No.
I wonder if there should be something here that
About keeping hydrants free,
accessible year round.
accessible and free of snow and debris.
I think there was.
Can't remember. I
I-
haven't read it in a minute.
I don't think there was. No. There was nothing that was already in it.
Yeah. So,
The fact that we're at least identifying location,
So
some kind of a standard.
for it took quite a while, but I went around and we have the exact GPS coordinates on every single hydrant, and every single hydrant now has its own E911 address. So in the inspection form, one of the things that I added to this was the E911 address of the hydrant, because each of them has their own address. So on a E911 map, hydrants show up independently now.
So on page 3,
yeah,
where it says general requirements, responsibility for properly maintaining a private fire hydrant shall be that of the owner of the property or the owner's designee. I wonder if we could put that proper maintenance
shall include.
shall include, year-round accessibility.
Well, the lawyers will like that better because then you'll have a subparagraph B to go to your subparagraph A. So I would maybe insert that as the A and move the other paragraph to B.
To a new A.
Would that work? It doesn't
Yeah,
specifically say shoveling snow, but it makes it accessible year-round.
Yeah, clear of all,
Actually, I wouldn't even, well, no.
clear of
That
all
would be a
debris.
lawyer thing. I'm not going to respond. What?
accessible and clear of all debris.
Yeah.
Proper maintenance shall include
Oh, is Chris gone already? Yeah, crap.
Please.
that the
Oh,
hydrant
Let it burn.
is accessible. Is it ABLE or IBLE?
Don't ask.
Accessible
ABLE.
at all times
Yeah, accessible.
And clear.
and free from all
Debris,
snow and debris?
shrubbery. I'd say brushy shrubbery.
No.
Shall maintain a 3-foot clearance around the hydrant at all times.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's probably a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Because,
I
you
don't
know,
have a
I've seen them
hydrant.
grown into a bush.
And free
Yeah.
from all
More than
snow
once.
Yeah, that's a lot of
and
help. huh?
debris. And,
That's pretty good.
okay. Yeah, I didn't put anything in here about
Would
shrubbery.
you wanna, or you could add that, we're free from all snow and debris within a,
Accessible at all times. kind of
within a
does it.
3-foot
If it's a
radius.
huge,
And
Shrub.
accessible at all times, yeah.
yeah. within
okay,
a-
so what I've got, and tell me if it's okay. Proper maintenance shall include that the hydrant is accessible at all times and free from all snow and debris,
Sure.
right?
I want to put snow in there because that's kind of a,
Yeah.
That's the big one.
That's
that's
the
the
big one.
nudge in the side of shovel out your flipping hydrants.
When
Okay.
you, even though the reflectors are like 4 or 5 feet high, when all that's showing is a reflector,
Yeah.
it's still,
Yeah.
it's still problematic.
Yeah, when the loader operator covers over the top of the reflector with the loader, yeah.
Okay, so the maker of the motion and the amendment, are you okay with that addition?
Yep.
Okay. Any other before we vote? Okay, if we're all set, all in favor of adopting the private fire hydrant ordinance as amended with that one sentence, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Do we sign this one or do you sign the next?
No,
We'll sign the next.
you'll
one.
get a
Clean copy.
clean copy. And
Okay.
so
All right,
but this starts
Okay.
the clock. There's many more things that I will have
60
to do
days,
to,
right?
yeah,
Or,
it's
yeah.
warnings and postings and notices and
Yep.
all that fun
So
stuff.
if we don't get any fee pushback on this 60 days
so
from
if
now.
you guys don't want to sign this, we'll just.
No, it's
Yeah,
yeah,
this
there's
starts the ball
folder.
rolling.
the page numbers will change. I got room to line numbers, all that stuff. So
Yep.
Okay,
So we had talked about signing orders. So the
Yeah.
league did have some guidance on there and does have some options and suggestions. So
I like the way we did it. We approved the order. It's always been on
Yeah.
here. It's always been on here to approve the ordinance forever. It's just we've never ever voted, but that has always been part of the
yeah, I
agenda.
mean,
So
the better form is to actually,
I like the way we did it tonight. That worked good.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
Because
So-
we do have a time to,
And then that'll be a matter of record starting on the 11th.
did we have the league's policy on that?
there isn't a policy on it.
Okay,
Approval of
so we
orders.
did it. It's on our agenda, so
Yeah.
it'll just remain on and we'll
Agenda.
deal with it every,
So this kind of goes along with a topic that was part of the open meeting law training.
Mhm.
And in the Secretary of State guidance, it doesn't say you don't do it, but things that require action that come up after the agenda is published, when possible, should be just moved to the next agenda. So it actually has proper warning. So there's things that come up that we do on a regular basis that kind of fall under that. So is that something you want to do in the future? So
I mean, some stuff comes in
Mhm.
and if we decide we don't have enough information or the committee that is responsible hasn't taken a look at it,
Mhm.
we'll defer it. But if it's something like donation request from
I thought it was like liquor licenses. Those are
liquor
those
licenses,
are ones
those
that
can come up at any time.
right. So their suggestion is that it can come up at the meeting like, hey, this is here, but we're going to warn it on the next agenda. That's their
No,
guidance. But
I mean, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think,
They want to give people a heads up to read
Yes.
the agenda so they can show up and dispute if they want.
well, to
essentially.
participate. Yeah.
I understand that, but we got to do the balance with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's certain things that, you know,
If we think somebody really would want to comment on a liquor license, for example, we probably
like
would
a liquor
defer. it.
license, I don't feel like a lot of people will oppose. but
No,
There
but-
may be some decisions that we make that probably.
Yeah,
Maybe we should, I don't know, it's something to be conscious of, I guess.
Mhm.
moving
and
forward.
that's, yeah, and we can always say, yeah, we should probably just put that on the agenda for next time and give us time to look into it.
Something to be conscious of.
Sure.
Okay.
It's just their guidance or their best practice. But it's still, it doesn't say you can't, it just
No.
gives
Yeah, no.
give that. So no problem.
Understandable. Okay.
The next thing in the packet is the updated list of town officials as a result of town meeting day.
Mhm.
So we do have some vacancies. And then the last page is the historical, well, depends here, but we need a liaison to the school board, but our other historical appointments.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is where, so if Kari were here, I would ask her like the status of the write-ins. For example, I know that there was one candidate or non-candidate for moderator who got 13
Did receive
write-in
it. That's a healthy
votes,
amount of votes.
which is very,
that's
you know,
respectable.
it's kind of a groundswell there.
Overwhelming.
Yeah.
Don't you
Run
need
away.
35? Isn't it the same as a petition? I think you need 35 to be elected. If Kari was here, she'd know.
Yeah.
If there's,
So we could do a couple of things. We could advertise this on our website.
Mm-hmm.
You say anyone interested in filling any of these positions, please let us know by. And we can take it from there.
That's
And
a good
then
point,
we can
yeah.
go with the people who got write-in votes.
Trying to look it up.
Hmm?
It'd be interesting to know. Somebody, I think Chris was saying he thought it was the required number was half the petition.
Yeah,
requirement.
somebody said that.
Looked it up.
Yeah. If it's 35, you still didn't get enough for moderator, sorry.
Well,
no, we just voted and gave it to him. That's
think
called
that
being,
petition amount was.
He used the word
Voluntold.
railroaded, I remember that
Yeah,
he
I
was
think so.
addressing that. Yeah.
So do we need to, the annual appointments, do we need to check with these people?
I would imagine,
Yes,
yeah,
we should.
probably should.
And I think in the past, we've sort of said, we ask Barbara to check with the planning commission and.
Yeah, they're all still good. They're good till next year.
Okay. Yeah, I guess they are.
Yep.
Well, we do have the vacancy
For Jim.
for Jim Hall. So we do need to fill that.
So one that wasn't marked here on the library, it says here that Joe's term ended in 2020.
Oh, maybe I didn't update that one
So
then,
that-
because he's still on there.
May just be
Yeah, I
out of
gotta
date,
fix that
but-
one.
It-
I'll get
could
there any
be-
dates, yeah.
And let's see. Somewhere I think we had the grand juror still on here and I.
That's
Yeah, first one,
very
top.
beginning.
Top,
Right there on the top, front
right
page.
underneath moderator. Do
I
you want to
thought-
be
I
town
thought we-
grand juror
Well,
too?
no, I mean, I question whether it's really even a thing.
I know.
I mean, where
I
it's
thought
on
we
there because
railroaded
we've been doing it
somebody
for
into that,
200
too.
and some years, but I don't think it exists in statute anymore.
Really?
I mean, I tried to research it at one point and I couldn't find anything except in certain municipal charters.
Oh,
We don't have one.
you don't have one.
I thought it just referred to that in something I just read. About the grandeur.
It was in the
Fire ordinance.
fire alarm ordinance.
The
Right,
fire alarm
right,
ordinance
right.
has as a
Reference to the grandeur.
Yeah.
has
Oh, really?
as a person that can issue violations, town grand juror.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and I
there
thought
you
we
go.
railroaded
Save a
somebody
job.
into that.
We did.
Last couple of
times,
years, it's
but-
been, yeah,
Darren.
Darren Raleigh, yeah.
Yep.
She'd probably be willing to do it again if we asked, but
I mean, you don't get a lot of work,
it's,
We have a,
but it's a title.
it is a title, yep.
Get a sticker.
cemetery commissioner missing.
Yep.
But, Byron was, right?
Yeah.
He really doesn't want to do it again?
There were a lot of names for
Tried
write-ins.
for a few
There
years.
were a lot of names
Yeah.
for write-ins, yeah.
Yeah, the cemetery commission's got to look at that and fill it with somebody.
Well, yeah, if you have recommendations, yeah.
Hopefully no dead people voted.
Rutland Regional, it's Board of Commissioners. This is a Rutland Regional Planning Commission. That's what that is on the second page.
Yes.
right? Right.
Yes,
We just did the SWAC last meeting.
we did. Yep.
The transportation, was that Fred?
It was.
Yeah.
I'm we'd be pretty confident saying that if we found someone who really wanted to go to that as the primary, Dave would happily give that up.
Oh, right, Davis. Oh, so the very bottom of page 2, regional marketing quality of life.
Yeah, that's been on there. And
That I was once, and this was like 3 years ago. I don't even think that exists
okay,
anymore. So
that-
you can just
it
take
can
that
go
off.
away. That's fine.
Strike it.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's no problem. I haven't heard from the Otter Creek Communication District, but
Okay.
those appointments should be up. So
Yes.
I'll find out if
Okay.
they're all still interested.
If they have a report.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
That'd be
would
good
be
too.
good.
Yeah, because there was some issue that they were curious about, so I'd like to
Yeah,
know what they found out
yeah,
about whatever they were
really.
curious about.
School board liaison to the select board if they wish to. That's kind of their appointment rather than ours.
Right,
so,
yes.
yeah, okay. All right. Do we have in mind who's going to reach out to whom? Bill, would you check with Barbara just to
absolutely.
make sure the planning maybe they have somebody in mind for the alternate position. Okay. And let's post it on our website and on our Facebook pages.
Yep.
Opportunity to serve your government.
That's right. Okay.
Good. Okay.
Take care of that. And next in your packet is a blank select board committee list, and on your desk is the current select board committee list.
Yeah. So I know last year we just said, right, we just keep the same committees, and frankly, the committees are functioning really pretty well. However, it also, if we keep the same committees all the time, it doesn't give all of us a chance to rotate through and find out in more detail what all of the departments are doing. So what's your pleasure with this? And are there any committees we should drop or create or split apart or combine?
Mary, my feeling is, I was put on what Kurt and Joey have been on. I didn't know anything about it. And I just think the people that are expertise in the fields that they're in is more important than everybody, I mean, with roads, I was lost. I mean, these guys drive truck, they do the roads.
Mhm.
I think we should put the best that we have in the field into those areas. That's just my take.
And
I like where
there's
I am,
some,
but I'll go where you send me.
Yeah,
How's that?
that's kind of where I'm at.
Well-
The public
Not
safety-
not personnel.
the
No.
we did all of the work.
Yeah.
We got the handbook. There's
It's
nothing
finance
left
too.
to do.
I mean,
Me neither.
It is finance also.
And finance, yeah.
the public safety building, I don't think we'll need that, will we? Again, think we're pretty much
And
Yeah, we were kind of functioning as a committee of the
committed
whole.
whole, so.
Yeah,
well,
so we probably could,
That's fine.
whatever's left.
well, we
there.
got a little, and we'll leave it on for the time and we'll just say
That's-
full select
Be
board.
all of us if we have to go. for that.
Yeah.
But if Joey stayed on for the public safety building, then we'd have somebody that they could go to. And then you'd bring it to the
Whatever.
board.
Possibly. Or what'll happen is what happened tonight and what happened 2 weeks ago, and that is a department head has an issue with the new building and they bring it in because we asked them to, so Joey can keep track. So,
Right. Right.
however, we are ultimately responsible for making sure that thing functions. So,
Right.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
We still have an energy committee.
I was wondering if that's kind of dead on. its
Well,
face.
I never even thought of it.
We started out on that and.
Yeah,
And our primary thing was, we wanted to do the solar up there on the old
yeah. the
site, and
landfill
then
site
that
up
kind of
above.
fell by the wayside, but the recommendation is if we were gonna do something solar, to look into the rooftop stuff.
Yeah.
And then we kind of like just fell by the wayside. You know, I don't know,
It's not really a whole lot of rooftop that we have though.
this roof is off limits.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, yeah.
you know, we had talked about the highway garage possibly, some of these other places, but I don't
And I
know.
think in fact, I think we asked for bids, alternative bids on the highway garage with and without solar panels, and nobody would bid on the with. So.
And I don't know
nothing
if any of it's
happened there.
practical, so.
Yeah,
A lot of that's kind of dropping off.
that's entirely possible.
Well, that's-
And I think the tax credits have gone, so the impetus is going. Although, with the way things are going, if we lose Hydro-Quebec as a power source, we might have more interest in doing local generation.
We had an issue with the fire department down Clarendon with a house that the panels were faulty. The panels were faulty. The company didn't want to come fix them. They ended up catching on fire on the roof. It was kind of a go around, and nobody really wanted to come fix or do or maintain or anything with them. And it really just kind of got me worried about some of this, rooftop solar and these companies and it was a very well-known company around here that just, nope, there's nothing wrong with the panels. Well, they were on fire, so there's something wrong with the panels. And you can look at the report and see they haven't been running, they were running at like 20% efficiency or something, and they wouldn't come fix them. And it just, I don't really know if we want to get into that with the town buildings and rooftops.
That was the last place we were. You know,
Yeah.
when the thing fell through on the
Yeah, the landfill.
landfill, and that basically fell through because the solar company couldn't make enough money on it. To make it worth
Because they didn't, now the excuse, maybe the reason, was that they didn't realize all of the electrical services were underground at Northwood, and they couldn't make money if they had to bury all of the wires.
Yeah.
So do we just take energy off?
It's like there aren't any active projects.
I mean, if it's something we need, if
Yeah.
it comes up, you just add it.
And it could be an ad hoc committee if we needed it,
Or under building technology.
or under the building that might be useful. I mean, yeah. so-
The department that it would apply to, yes.
Can we put personnel under building and technology too?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you got the work all done, I would stay there. See, I wouldn't be shifted to somewhere else if the work is
It keeps coming up with new things we gotta do.
I know, it's like, no. Townwide celebration, finance and personnel. If it's not one, it's the other, really, Matt, I think. Scholarship, you guys are already underway. Police, building and technology. Intermunicipal, me and Joe. We haven't had anything, but we've done things as the whole, like when the Mendon Select Board came in and talked with us. Transfer station. Well, you know what? Take and mull this over. I think for the 2 more weeks, we can use the committees that we're on and think about this. Think about if people want to swap around, and let's bring it up again next meeting. We're functioning pretty well right now. All right, what else we got?
The next thing in your packet is a letter from Joanne regarding the closing of their store.
Joanne Fabrics. This reminds me, I think they are complying with
Yes, they are.
a state statute that was adopted because Mike Ohoski and I were state reps from the town of Rockingham when paper mills started closing in Bellas Falls, or the last paper mill in Bellas Falls closed. And it was a huge layoff of a lot of people, and it was without any notice, really. They just showed up and the doors were locked. So the state adopted a statute, and this is the result.
Yep.
You got to give notice. You got to let the local officials know so they can start providing support. They've got to let the state officials know so they can get unemployment comp benefits to them. And so people will start looking for jobs.
Yep.
So
I think when Big Lots closed, I don't think they did this, and there was some fallout from that
I was gonna say,
because they closed all their stores at once.
Bed Bath and Beyond do that too?
They closed it in stages, so there was different, but I think
Slip
like
the
Big
radar.
Lots was like done and yeah, I think they're into some issues with that. So, but that was my first time I saw this. I'm like, they're following the rules, which is
Yep.
just great. It's just notice to us, there's really not a lot of action for us to take.
No, but
Um,
it's, good to know.
yeah.
And I actually went online because, those of us who sew or hand sew or you just mend things, you need needles and thread and buttons and
We were in Michael's on Sunday and they have flyers on all their carts saying like, welcome from Joann's and here's where you're gonna find this, here's where you're gonna find that. And I'm like, that's
There it
pretty,
is.
There it
that's pretty tricky.
is.
Yep. So
Okay.
they're, you can go across the parking lot.
Those 14 people will too.
Yeah,
Maybe they will.
So that's received
Yeah, just
and
for
good
notice.
information.
Yep.
So-
14 people losing their job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
The last one in your packet is from Joe, the Route 4 speed reduction meeting summary.
Okay.
So basically what the first steps up there, I met with Fred Bagley and the other gentleman from the Rutland Regional, and I can't
Is
remember.
it Ethan?
Ethan.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we've done some. Anyway, the question is to whether if we're on board with the number one with the speed reduction starting just east of the Home Depot where it is 35 now and continuing. So the thought was to ask for a 35-mile speed limit from just continue on through Rutland Town, Rutland City, Rutland Town,
Okay.
into Mendon till you get around the corner past Sugar and Spice, and then it will return to the normal. Not sure if the state will allocate or will go along with that. There are letters that needed, so we discussed whether or not it would be one letter signed by both towns or individual letters from each town requesting the reduction.
I would do
Eh,
individual letters.
And this is what
Just
Ethan was going to kind of come up with what he thought
Okay.
would be the best way. I think that the idea would be as if we draft a letter here, and Ethan is supposed to get a hold of Bill at some point with some bullet points, what the letter should contain.
Sure.
So that we can put this letter together. And then, first thing is that I'm guessing we voted to be on board with this. I thought that's
We
what
appointed you to cooperate with the
right.
folks too. Yes.
Yes.
I think when we talked about this before, it was 40 miles per hour that was contemplated, which seems reasonable to me. In my mind, 35 going from Home Depot up to Town Line and beyond seems awful slow for feels like a highway.
Right.
It's one of those things you can put up whatever you want for a sign.
Nobody's
but-
gonna.
Right.
Yeah.
So the thought is if we ask for 35 and the state says we'll give you 40, which is kind of what they were hoping for, then it's a win. If you ask for 40, they may say no.
Well, is there an objection to doing like 40 and then to 35 up where it gets narrower, where what they're calling their village?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you get up by like the ski shop there and the store and whatnot, it narrows, you get the lanes merging and so forth, and you get the left turn on a Park Lane, which is frightening. That to me is the area that I'd be most concerned about the speed. But when you're going up the hill from Home Depot,
I have problems going up. Well, maybe it's me, but it's you've got to turn there to the complex where, there was counselors and there's
Right.
Vermont Legal Aid and there's a bunch and what is it called?
We actually have more.
There's that. And then a little further up or just below that is the turn to Northwood.
Post Road. Oh, yeah.
all
And,
that,
and
you
that's
got
pretty,
2 lanes when you're going.
2 lanes
It's all
going up,
2
one
lane.
lane coming down, and what you end up, one of the things is if you look at the crash data that they provided us, in our section of that road, there are more accidents in the last 10 years than there are in Mendon. In that section, and part of that is, I think it's actually the hill and the way that's laid out, but they did the crash data.
Huh.
And again, I think that we all got copies of at the last, when they were here a couple of,
It must be fender benders because
Um,
I don't ever remember
Low
going
speed.
there much.
but it
Fire
says in the
truck.
last 10 years, I think there were
I
63
was
events,
by
in
one that there was. a fire
63 in
truck.
Rutland town.
Well, there's definitely been some accidents there,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
It's not a peak point, but
It's
You
a
know.
little squirrely at Best Western because all of a sudden you lose the
Right.
lane.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
Most accidents along there are driver in attendance. Because that road changes from 2 lanes to 1 lanes to 2 lane, consistency. So one of the other things is I believe this was signed recently. It was brought up at our meeting was that I believe Route 4 East is going to be paved in 28 or 29.
Okay.
So they're going to petition for some restriping lane stuff. I even brought up the idea of maybe in that section of Mendon, whether or not they might be looking at a left turn lane up through there.
Okay.
Because,
won't have-
because to, facilitate the buildings and the businesses along through there. I think that consistency is better.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so I don't think that 35 is going to happen because of the nature of the road and where it is. I think the state may let them go with the 40. So I was hoping, like I said, that Bill would have gotten some stuff from Ethan. I think if we don't see that in the next day or two,
I'll reach
we
out to
need to
him.
reach out to him.
Okay.
And, because the hopes were that we might be able to have this letter and be able to sign it by the 25th of this month, both towns, and get this in the transportation board that overlooks this meets quarterly.
When's their next?
So, and I'm not sure when their next meeting was. Ethan didn't have that information, but that's kind of what they want to do. But I think that, I'd be on board with the 40. I think the 35 might be, we have businesses along through there. It's not quite as concentrated, but it's the nature of that road when you go right to the post road, that crown of the hill there, and you're coming down, zipping along, and
Yeah,
somebody wants to
yeah.
make a right turn and they're stopping.
Yeah.
So the natural reflex is to go around them, which means you're now in an eastbound lane. So, and I think it's pretty well noted that you can, like Kurt said, you can put whatever you want for a speed limit. Everybody's gonna they all feel they're entitled to the 10 miles an hour.
But, it was interesting. We were out in Arizona for a week and a lot of the highways 75 out there. And you know what people do? 75, because that's actually how fast people want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really quite enjoyable because you could set the cruise and you weren't constantly weaving in and out of
Well, that's
traffic.
one thing I've noticed in different areas around the state where you reduce the speed limit too much. All you do is making more traffic hazard because there's people trying to get around people that are going the speed limit, but nobody wants to go the speed limit and they're doing this. And sometimes it's more hectic than just if you were driving a little bit.
All the truck traffic, there's loads of truck traffic and they had it pegged 75 or 74.
Yeah.
They were not speeding at all. So
Yeah.
didn't feel like, of course, generally it's wide open and straight, a lot of it, but didn't feel
Yeah.
comfortable going 75 because
Yeah.
traffic just moved along.
Okay.
But anyway, so 35 to me feels too slow for that. I do understand, like if you're coming to the turn at Post Road, it can be dicey. There's a lot of things about that that are dicey, like turning right from 4 onto Post if it's slippery is a
Yeah, you might as well go down the hill.
Yeah. That's what park lane's for.
Yeah.
You just go up the park lane.
So, but generally speaking to me, that I don't think anybody's gonna, I guess I'd be interested if the chief has an opinion. He's probably not listening, but if the
Yo,
police
Ed.
have an opinion on this, then I would defer,
Is
but
he with us?
No.
yeah.
Gotcha.
We're talking about Route 4 and potentially dropping it all the way down to 35 there, going.
The Mendon Rutland Town. Yeah. Okay.
The accidents we out there, I one recently had the last 2 years with a motorcycle, like somebody driving like a maniac and caused the accident. I think most of the accidents that happen up there have been independent operation, and a lot of them have to do with impaired driving.
Wow.
That are involved top and down the section. I understand the people's concern. And like you're saying, I think if we make it 35, people probably gonna push it to 45. Try to.
Who enforces up there? Does the state or,
State police do, sheriffs do.
okay,
Yeah, they all can do it.
okay. Who really does though?
And the constable.
The Mendon
Probably
Constable.
the sheriffs do a lot up in Mendon because they're contracted by.
Yeah,
They do a lot of it.
okay.
Yeah, I think Mendon they might hold powers from their constable, policing powers. I don't think they don't have the constable car anymore and none of that.
Okay.
I think they just rely on the sheriff.
Well, this is nothing, we need to see the
Oh,
letters.
Draft of a
Yeah.
letter. And I think,
But well, okay.
Yeah, if I
Good
don't have it, I'll
information.
reach out to
Thanks
Ethan.
for
I
doing
he's
that.
hard to
mean,
get hold of.
You know, thinking of the other two times we approached the state to reduce speeds and Route 7 south of the city, and the city and the town went together and they weren't interested. And it was just there had been people hitting crosswalks, and we thought surely that would get their attention, but no, they didn't want to reduce it.
one of the
So
things that they've done that might facilitate this is the traffic study. And the interesting part is this traffic study is a grant through V-Trans,
okay,
you know, and they kind of are the ones in charge of the road.
do they
So-
pay attention to their own studies, do you
Well,
think?
well, this is what I was, that's, I mentioned that. So this is where the money came from Mendon to do this and hire, you know, get Ethan to do the work and do what they need to do. And now we're going to get a recommendation based on that. And it's the transportation people that are going to weigh in on this and make the decision. So I just thought that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Who's funding the study? And I think there's some good points there that do, but I think to the point, if we try to reduce it too much, you know, the thought was if you ask the state for 35 and they give you 40, it's a win. But, you know, they may say, you know, we're
Careful
just
what you
gonna-
ask for, they might.
the
actually
other
give it
thing
to
is
you.
they may just say, no, we're just gonna leave it at 45, but if you, you know, so you have to decide.
Okay, well,
And we did not schedule a follow-up meeting as of the
Well,
other day.
Plus, like I said, and maybe it's too complicated, but if you went 40 up until their village zone and then got to 35, that seems reasonable as well, but.
And the
Maybe
hard
that's
part with
just-
Route 4 is it's a federally aided highway. You know, it's not just a state highway, it's a federally aided highway, so it.
Yeah. So one
There's
of
a
the,
lot of federal requirements too.
one
as
of the
well.
things I did bring up, and it was brought up, is if you follow 4 and 7's path through the state, when you, Mendon is the only village center where the speed limit's 45. You go
Oh,
through
yeah,
Woodstock, you
yeah.
go through Bridgewater, you go through any of the other communities along 4 East,
yeah,
the speed limit
Woodstock is
reduced.
like 25.
is 25. If you
Yeah.
go 4 West through, you know, for
And
it
Castleton is 30.
Castleton in West Rutland's 25, Castleton's 30. Route 7 North, Pittsford is 25, Brandon's 25. Now, Pittsford did go through this and get that, and they had to go through the state. And I do believe Ethan did the work. I think
Oh,
it was
okay.
Pittsford. So there's some history there. It's the same with Route 3 through Proctor. That's
Mm-hmm.
a state highway, and it's 25 all the way through Proctor. So there's some legitimate history. Now
Yeah.
they got to talking about class 1 roads and class this, and I think to Kurt's point, there's a federal proponent to this along with the states. But I think they have a good chance to ask for this based on
Yeah.
what is out there through all these other
And,
communities.
and what was it? What's the one just outside of Woodstock?
Bridgewater.
Bridgewater. Yeah, and that was
Well,
25 and it
but
went up to 30.
They went to 30 now.
Because they took the school zone away.
Right,
Right.
right.
WCAX got a hold of that and.
Yeah, plus
got
it
them
was a
locked up.
moneymaker for the town.
Yeah, they were still saying that the school zone hitting them at 25 miles an hour and
Yeah.
school hadn't been open in 25
So, I
years.
mean, yeah, and
But-
I
but the point is
get it. I
all
mean, they've
these
got a
other-
village center and everybody else gets people to slow down for their village center. Why shouldn't
So,
Mendon?
so I would think that there is, you know, and I brought that up. I said, you know, that should be a point, a major point,
Yeah,
that when you go through these other communities, you're slowing
and
down.
we really don't have a village center either,
No,
so.
right.
I mean, it's not really much of a village center up there.
Not for us.
But that mile is where everything is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
real, or concentrated. I mean, you have motels up the mountain all the way, but this is where shops and businesses are, and,
Mhm.
but I do believe that that section road would really benefit from a left turn lane there. You know, so I don't know if the state would look into
All
that
right.
when they do the striping, but
So
that's
thank
where we
you
are
on
with that.
that.
When I get bullet points, I will let you
Alright.
know, put it together.
What else have we got?
I also had on your desk, a copy of the purchasing policy. You talked about, you mentioned this.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Police committee meeting. The appearance is different than the one we have now, but it is not any different. Other than the last page, I added the ballot language for the depreciation votes from the recent election. I forgot to change the calculate the amount on the bottom there, but the rec and highway ones that passed, that's the ballot language and the new rates. I gotta update the highway
So-
rate.
So did we have depreciation funds listed in our former purchasing policy?
Yes, the copy
Really?
you have on your desk
Yeah.
has this
Okay.
minus the ones from the 7th. So if
Okay.
there were any changes you wanted to make to it, this is what it is. If we, you know,
Yeah, well, I mean, the first, I've been thinking about this. I mean, costs of everything has gone up. Is 5,000 that, you know, still an appropriate cap for major purchases versus,
that was my thought, that
Yeah.
we should probably have some discussion around the
and then the 1,000 to 5,000
Yeah,
for regular purchases.
thresholds.
Are we
Cause we raised that, like, the original was,
3?
3,000, I think.
I think
yeah.
it was 3.
A long time ago.
I think that the, incidental or whatever purchases used to be 500 or less.
Yeah, I
And
think you're
so,
right.
you know, we moved it up to be a more, I mean, I think these numbers are still valid when we were out there.
I'm finding that we're using preferred vendors more and more. And then adding somebody to the preferred vendor list, which, by the way, we should have,
Yeah, that needs to be
That needs
reviewed.
a Hoeing.
we should look it over every year, and this would be a good time to
Sure.
do it. Yeah,
I'll
so,
have it for next time.
thank you.
Yeah,
It does live right here. Just in case you notice, it does live right on the board right there.
Yeah.
In case you're wondering
Okay.
who it is. So there is a copy around the building. But yes, there needs to be some
I
review of
almost-
some of those.
I almost wonder if we need to look into moving up to $10,000 to require a actual bid. Cause I mean, there's a lot of people that won't even touch a bid for $6,000 anymore. It's almost a waste of their
And
time.
I think we're seeing that and so
We're-
we say, well, get us some quotes
Well,
then.
yeah, I mean, under 10,000, we're still requiring three prices, which
Right.
is us soliciting bids essentially. You know, because we can't get anybody else to bid on crap.
Yeah,
So I wonder if that's something we need to look at.
all right, so let's,
Do the regular,
check in with your committees too. I mean, see what they're bumping up against when they need to do a purchase of some size. And if it's a pain, then maybe we should lift the caps.
Well, we were just running into it with the
The
police. and-
police and the
and the
handguns.
guns.
I don't
Yeah.
think we've done a bid on anything since I've been on the board.
Yeah, we've done public safety building.
Yeah, that's like major.
That was
that's
before,
way major.
Is that before
But-
you came on?
Yeah, it was actually, yeah.
barely.
I mean, if,
Well,
so, you know,
I
I'm
was
thinking
on for
if
the revote.
Okay,
something like, I'm just trying to think of something that highway or police.
Well, like
Or
the
here,
the paving bids are out to bid right now.
Huh?
okay.
The paving's out to
bids.
bid right now.
Right, But,
Oh, yeah.
and that's,
So-
but that's a $250,000-$300,000
It is.
thing, but I'm trying to think of something,
Copiers, a batch of copiers or a
Copiers.
batch of laptops to replace.
things
So-
like that, or if you're looking at when, the fire department was looking for meters.
Yeah.
You know, you can't get anybody to want to even sell us meters.
Right,
Right.
it is.
Well,
So,
yeah.
so the copiers is a great example. We used the state contract pricing. So we already have the best pricing we can, that's gonna be
That's what
the,
I wanted to add in here.
okay.
Some reference to the state, yeah.
Right,
State,
that's
state bid prices.
because
So
we've been using that more and more. to
That is,
buy
it, we
vehicles.
use it, I look at that as often as I possibly can. And I have found that some people on there are like, yeah, we'll give you a better deal, and we get a better deal. So, yeah. Oh,
I bought this last police cruiser. I guess I was state
I've got
pricing, right?
Two
Massachusetts
fire
state,
trucks and
yeah.
and a highway truck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those 3 brand new Ford
Yeah,
pickups.
so let's,
Because we're not, we
maybe
didn't put any of that out to
under-
bid.
no,
And it's all already done.
I almost wonder if we need to move up higher than 10,000 even. Cause we're still soliciting 3 prices, so it's,
And
we're
yeah,
making sure we're going with the lowest price we can find.
and
But
we're getting
we're not-
competitive
We're
pricing.
not posting it out to bid, publicly,
Yeah.
which is the formal bid process. You're supposed to post that for,
well, it's detailed in here. We have a detailed
Yeah.
process in here
Yeah.
for
One of the
that.
Things
That's,
about us soliciting prices is we actually do that. You can actually,
Yes.
you can take control of that. So you can go to 3 vendors. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Where if you put it out to bid, you may not get anybody. We've had
So-
things that we've
Yes.
tried to.
some of the engineering work that we've had that rate goes above 5,000, we have some preferred vendors, and we have approached other preferred vendors on our list, and they've declined the work. So they're like, we're not even interested in giving you a price on it. So we've tried to solicit cost from other vendors, and we get declined. So
yeah, I hate to have a policy that we appear to circumvent, or we go to preferred vendors all the time. It just, the purpose, I think, is to keep the costs as low as possible and make sure we're getting the best deal. But if it isn't functioning appropriately, we need to fix it.
One of the things I
I
like
noticed
about,
that leasing is in here as well.
one of the things I like about the preferred vendors though is with established firms that we're working with, you have a consistency of knowledge of
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like with the electrical work here in this building, and we've been hiring basically the same individuals. And even that we have tried to get some of that put out to bid and didn't get really any prices on it.
it definitely has, the preferred vendor thing definitely has its place.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I have no problem with the
Yeah.
preferred vendors. It's, yeah,
Just-
for the very reason Joe said.
Yeah. But yeah, I almost wonder, if that major purchase price needs to get even higher to $40,000 or $50,000. Yeah, but to where you're gonna put out an actual RFP,
Required the bid.
an actual bid. I
Yeah.
mean, you're still a regular purchase. We're still soliciting pricing
Yep,
oh, absolutely, like
Yeah.
always.
always.
Yeah.
So, the formal bid process is a lot of work for something that we never seem to get results on.
What does this mean where it says in the capital improvements and depreciation account purchases, it says shall not be for less than that of a regular purchase?
So regular purchase must be at least $1,000. So there were some instances where some expenses were being charged to capital improvement and depreciation that were borderline maintenance. And they were being pulled from
Yep.
a capital fund and rather than a maintenance line. And that was to encourage the expense to be in the appropriate category.
yeah. There was a rule of thumb that I read somewhere for like buildings, like the public safety building. You absolutely not only go out to bid, but you bond for it because you pay it off over a longer period of time. When it's smaller, but not maintenance stuff, you go to the capital depreciation fund or whatever to pull it from there. And then when it's, ordinary wear and tear, you got to fix it, then
Right.
it comes from your budget
There
line.
was an instance where we bought some tires and it was less than $1,000 and it was like, it
Yeah,
was charged a capital improvement. It just didn't make sense. So,
That would be
so
regular.
there,
maintenance.
was- but,
Yeah.
but, but there were no guidelines. So that's where that was kind of born from. So.
And then is $1,000 or less still considered an incidental? Or, I mean, are we doing, should an incidental be $2,000?
Whatever you decide it is.
yeah,
You
and that kind of ties in with if it's a department head and they're purchasing something they anticipated and they built it into their budget, how much do we need to go into this you know,
Go out and buy it.
$1,000
You go out
or,
and buy 6 tires for a
yeah,
7-yard truck,
yeah.
you're gonna go right by that $1,000 and
But,
Yeah.
but they're going to Pete's Tire Barn, who's on the preferred vendor list. I mean,
Right.
they're on the, I'm sorry, the state vendor list.
Right.
So, you know,
Well, it's-
we use that, we really do use that list
Okay,
as
so
often
we
as
need
possible.
To add that in.
Okay.
As,
that's probably will cover a lot of this
Yeah.
because like I believe the state actually goes by make a tire. So if you're buying Goodyear tires, or if you're going through the state, it would be Goodyear tires and you can buy them on it from any Goodyear dealer. That's how we bought tires for the fire truck.
They have, yes, so they have,
A
they
specific
have brands,
list of,
but they have local vendors, like, so, like, in different parts of the state, that you're gonna go to different place. But I think Ray Bean's on the list. I think Pete's Tire Barn's on the list, so there's some options there,
Right.
but, yeah, but like, our copy, one of the reasons we went with SimQuest is they were on the list, so
Yeah.
we get a better pricing through them, so, yeah.
they're
um,
on the state list.
Yeah, the state list, yeah,
okay.
but, CVC, whenever we buy from them, they use state bid pricing, because Kenwood, Motorola are so we really are
We do that. We go there
scrubbing that
first.
list as often as possible for stings, yeah.
Well, let's put it in there so
Oh,
people will understand
yes.
that we really do look at
Yes.
that
use of
first.
state bidding process for purchase
State,
of
state,
equipment.
con- state, the state contract list should be consulted for any
Yeah,
regular purchase over $1,000, like, because below that, there's really not much below that, but yeah, it absolutely is something that we use on a regular basis. So yeah, I can come
okay.
up with something to put in there.
Yeah, I
Um,
think
Next meeting.
Yeah.
the incidental purchases would leave that, but the regular purchases would see in that. Because like I say tires would be,
It's,
that's the first thing that comes.
Oh, and we've got to deal with that, with the fire and
Fire trucks.
police vehicles. Wasn't there, who told us about that
the
regulation?
fire
that was
trucks
coming out?
have a lifetime now on tires.
And
Like, yeah, it's no longer mileage, it's just years.
And how many of our fire trucks need to?
a lot of them.
I wouldn't.
I don't know.
Is that a standard that has been passed and we must comply with it, or is that in the works?
That
Well,
would
it's
be an
NF
NFPA
It's
thing. isn't it?
NFPA, but they were
NFPA, but
going
there
at it
was-
through OSHA too.
Yeah.
It
One of the
was-
things
They're
that I would
heading
tell
at
you
it.
is tread life is more important than years of service.
I thought so.
Oh, yes.
But-
So, you're trying to get 10 years out of a set of tires because NFPA says you can in there. Smooth as tabletops kind of move.
Right. Well, I think the concern was maybe the other way is they don't need to be replaced, but we're forced to replace them. So
So what the town of Killington's been doing is they run their tires for 5 years on their fire trucks. They pull them off, put them on their highway trucks and put new tires on their fire trucks.
Interesting. So the whatever the requirements are don't apply to highway vehicles?
no.
Okay,
It's emergency
Emergency
services.
all right, that's
And
very clever.
Yeah, if you try to run a fire police department to the letter of the law, I mean, you'll go bankrupt.
It's
Or
Well,
not.
of
it's
course, they
never-
would run
there-
those to the
there-
letter. of
It's
the
never,
law.
if you ever read through NFPA, I mean,
the
it
new
would
regulate.
bankrupt the town.
Yeah,
if you tried to
if
run a fire
everything
truck.
proposed goes in place, it would be.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how anybody can stay open.
All
So, but that's a whole different
That's a
discussion for
different-
whoever the fire committee ends up being. That's a great discussion for them to have. So.
Yeah.
It's like it's them.
Right.
All right, so I will work on updating that and get that back to you all for the next meeting. It shouldn't be too terribly complicated. We talked about the metal chairs, posted them after the election. I posted them, and in about 12 minutes, they were gone.
Really?
Oh,
A whole lot gone to MSJ. Came
Oh.
and picked all of them up.
Yay.
Okay.
good
I
for
was gonna
them.
say, I never saw the
Oh.
post.
It was.
There's some pretty rugged chairs down there, so they can add those to the collection.
I posted it and I started working and my phone rang and they're like, I'm calling about the chairs. I'm like, you are? Like, yeah, it was, I mean,
What about the tables?
the old tables are long gone.
I thought there looked like there was some heavy, well, I go with heavy and light.
So there are some wooden tables downstairs and we did buy some plastic folding tables. So the police would like to be a recipient of maybe one of the shorter folding tables for now. There you go. It's yours. But there are some other ones, but we still have the like this style. We have 6
Well,
footers.
we
and
use
8 footers.
that, I mean, for the poles.
There's a bunch upstairs. So
Yeah.
there's behind the door to the stairs, there's 8 of those tables. So yeah.
Trying to get rid of.
No,
No, that's a
Those are way
question.
better than the plastic.
Oh, I use those for town
Are.
report, like, no, those are way, but there's a bunch downstairs, they're on a cart downstairs, no, they're not in the way.
This is what, don't we have these at church? The heavy duty ones? We do, yeah.
No, these are nice, these are good
They're-
tables, so, no, we have a couple up, we have several upstairs and then a bunch more downstairs, so, but they're gone, they're very happy with them, I was very happy that they're gone.
Now, what about, we got poking around down there because balloting was slow.
Yeah.
On the stage, there is that something that we got as part of an electrical upgrade,
That's the charging
the
stations.
charging stations.
And-
So
and
Stubbins
that's what
Electric
we
is gonna
gonna
be
do with
here next week. I was gonna talk to them about
Who?
Stubbins Electric to
Oh.
do the
We
rest
can
of the
do
work.
that
They're gonna
work.
be here next week. So I was gonna talk to them about, see if they knew anybody that would be interested in.
That was, I'm almost sure that was explained to me, if that wasn't part of some permitting process, something we went through, and that's how come we ended up with
Yeah.
those. And because of the fire hazard, everyone thought that they
Yeah.
shouldn't be attached
In the
to
building.
Yeah.
the building or
Agreed.
anywhere in the vicinity of the building, so.
They should not.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's why they decided, because I recall we decided as a
We did.
committee, as a public safety, not to install those there. But I think we had to take them, so.
Yeah, that's the problem. So, and they've got to have some value with them.
I imagine they're
Okay.
brand new, so, yeah.
And maybe we should post those as
Well,
I don't
ask
know what.
Stubbins and see if they have any
Yeah.
value.
Stubbins and see if some municipality wants them.
What are we talking about?
There's a wall mount charger and a pedestal mount charger.
So
So wall mount like you could put in a garage.
Yeah,
it would have been
Just
attached
I-
to the side of
I-
the building.
that is about as much as I know about it. That it's, we don't open them up, but that's what they said. It was one was supposed to go inside of one of the garage bays. The other one's gonna be out in the parking lot, off like the north side of the building, so.
We've had them now for what, 2 years?
No, they got there pretty late.
Showed up
They-
last summer, didn't they?
Yeah, they got, because they were later in the installation process, so, but they never got installed, so they just ended up here, so, yep. Agreed.
It wouldn't be good to have something inside the building that catches fire.
It
No,
would
I
not be
agree,
good.
but
Couldn't-
I don't want them sitting there. I want to
No.
either get rid of them or get them to somebody who can use them or sell them to get some money back in.
So I can check with them and see if they have any opinion on it, and we can go from there.
Okay.
That's fine.
We have no idea the value.
No, we don't.
Wonder if they probably came from Twin State. I wonder if
The first time I laid eyes on them, they were sitting in the garage bay.
yeah,
So,
they probably can't. I wonder if Twin State would be able to sell them for us or something
we had talked about the,
down there.
I'll find out. I'll find out and I'll see. I'll let you know the next time. Scholarship deadline.
Oh, right.
We talked about that is the current deadline is April 25th. That is the end of a school vacation week this year. RHS typically guides our due date. They said they need them no later than May 16th.
Need them, meaning
The
they want
results.
answers back from us.
Yes, they need your results by May
That's
16th.
fine. Well, so you could make it.
May 2nd, that's the following week.
So
But
then
you
we'd
guys
have
need
to-
time to
Yeah, 4 weeks,
process
2
them.
weeks.
We'd have 2 weeks, whereas last year we got them back, they wanted to answer like 2 days later.
I
That's
know.
rough.
That's not cool, but
Is
2 weeks.
Ann
I could
still
do.
there?
Yeah, because last year maybe.
So
You said that
if,
last year.
so I did send them out. And I did say that it's potentially the date may potentially change. So I did put that out there. So we push it out. I already have about half the list you sent me covered for people to contact people for schools. But I'll go through the other ones, make sure they're all there. Some of the emails I sent them to, I got kicked back to schools, like they're like rejected the email and I don't know why. So
What's the Christian Academy private school up on Lincoln?
Oh, rags.
Because we do
Rutland Area Christian School?
area.
Yeah.
it's like
They're on the list.
it's like the Rutland Area Christian
I
School.
checked
Yeah.
with the supervisory union, sent us a list of every place that's got a town certain. It's
Good.
longer than I expected.
So I used the list I used was the list we pay tuition to.
Yeah.
To generate the list to send them to.
Yeah.
And I found everyone that I could find, and some just don't have contact information, which is odd, but I couldn't get contact information. Some of it is,
For the schools?
yeah, like the schools, like some of the schools, like people the email addresses are invalid. Like it was very strange, but so I have put it out there. I have it on the front of the website, and I put it out on Facebook. So, it is getting out there. So
So May 2nd, is that?
Are you happy with that?
gives Enough time?
I think so.
To do
Unless we get a
Rutland.
bunch back from these schools we don't normally hear from, because you got
Well, May
Burn,
2nd
you
for
got
what?
Kemble Union.
The
Deadline to
deadline
submit the scholarship
accepting them.
application.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Rutland High School needs an answer by May 16th. So that gives 2 weeks, and they're the most restrictive one usually. So
And
okay.
they get the most students too.
Which never really understood why they need an answer anyways. All they gotta do is put the one line on the
That's right.
program that says we're giving out the scholarships, and
Yeah.
then we announce all the names. They don't put them all on the
Yeah.
program.
Yeah,
So
right.
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay.
I think they're used to guiding children, so they feel the need to guide the select boards.
It is the guidance office that handles it. So it's, that is everything I have. That's
Okay. We're doing,
I have a question for you.
sure.
Probably should have asked you in advance, but do you have any new news on the short-term rental registration?
I know.
What would you like to know?
Anything exciting?
We got a bunch.
There.
We've got
Anything?
How
new?
many?
12 or 13 so far.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have sent out some, I sent out letters and because I just got a new list of them. So I've got to just make sure that if everybody's advertising is on the list. So there's a couple that the ownership address is a little difficult to nail down. In talking with listers and the treasurer's office, the tax bills sometimes get returned and things like that. So a little hard to kind of nail down some of these, but we're getting through them. No other issues with inspections yet, but yeah, definitely we've got several back. So
But we're expecting 2 or 3 times.
there
that
should
number.
be we're about half where we should be. So
Okay.
yeah, but some of them are seem to be a little bit of an avoidance.
Did
So-
we go with the private tracking company? that
Yes.
was- Okay.
And that's been exceedingly helpful.
Okay, good.
So yes.
All right. So I would like to request a very brief executive session.
That
on-
is updated to with all the information I had available. So we hadn't updated that in a little while. There's that's the public safety building or I'm sorry, the capital improvement expenses.
Oh.
So I put that on your desk. They're blacked out because there's origin numbers, which I've never received. So the flow of those numbers can't happen until like the beginning balance is there. So I don't know. I don't have those like original numbers. So it's meant to calculate from we started with $1 million and calculate from there. I don't know what the beginning number is. So those numbers on the side, on the right-hand side aren't accurate because there's nothing to start them from.
Is that the Cortina one doesn't have anything blacked out? So do you think, and that's very different from what we heard from
Yeah.
Kari.
So there's some this spreadsheet was meant to be a collaboration and it never really worked that way. So the amounts we actually spent have never been entered. So there's amounts we approved, which were in a lot of cases were not to exceed,
Yeah.
and they came in underneath that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the actual amount we paid out was. So I've updated it with all the information that I had available. But like tonight, I'll add the cruiser to that list.
So as I was saying, if someone would make a motion, we could have a brief executive session on personnel matter.
So move.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to go into executive session. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 We're on.
We are out of executive session at 8:45. Is there a motion?
Move to adjourn. Second.
Motion's made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.